Hello and welcome to Angel Exam Prep, short division remainder as a fraction. Okay, so these ones are useful for 11 plus pre-test exams and for 13 plus exams. So we're going to start off looking at short division first. So we start off with our first question, and the first question is, how many 4s are there in 284? So I've drawn our little bus stop and we're going to have a look. How many 4s are there in this digit here? So it's 2, so there are 0 4s in the 2. So we then take what is left, which is the 2, down to the tens column. Once the 2 moves down from the hundreds column to the tens column, it becomes 10 times bigger and becomes 20. So we now have 28 in the tens column. And then we look and say, how many 4s are there in 28? Okay, well, there are 7. And then we say, is there any remainder to move down? And there is not. So we go down to the next part. And how many 4s are there in 4? Well, there's 1. So in this question, there is no remainder. So the answer is, how many 4s are there in 284? And there are 71. Okay, so that was a quick recap of short division, just in case you're a little bit rusty there. And then we move on to the next question, which will now have a remainder. So on this one, we are looking to find out how many 7s there are in 234. So we start off over here in the hundreds column, and we say, how many 7s are there in 2? Well, there are 0, and we've used up nothing, so we move the whole 2 down from the hundreds column into the tens column. And we now have 23 in the tens column. So how many 7s are there in 23? Well, there are 3. So 3 times 7 makes 21. So 23 take away 21, it means we have a remainder of 2 again. And we move the 2 down into the units column, and we now have 24 in the units column. So we now say, how many 7s are there in 24? Well, there are 3. 7, 14, 21. So we write down 3, and then we look what our remainder is. Well, 7 times 3 makes 21. 24 take away 21, and our remainder is 3. Okay, now in order to give us a mixed number so that we have that remainder as a fraction, what we have to do is have a look at what there are, how many parts there are in a whole one, which is 7. Okay, so there would be 7 equal parts in a whole 7 that we are looking for, so that will be our denominator. Our remainder will be our numerator, because there are 3 parts remaining out of 7. So our fraction is 3/7. So we add that to our answer to give us our mixed number answer. So our mixed number answer to how many 7s there are in 234 is 33 3/7. Okay, on the next one, I'm going to get the question up. Okay, so there is the question. Now, if you like, you can press pause and have a go at the question now. Okay, if you're not ready to have a go at the question, we can work through another one together. Or if you're joining after you've tried, let's have a look and see how you've got on. Okay, so we're looking for how many 9s there are in 485. So first of all, we start off in the hundreds column. How many 9s are there in 4? Well, there are 0. So we move the whole 4 down from the hundreds column into the tens column. So how many 9s are there in 48? Okay, well, 5 times 9 is 45, so it is going to be 5. So 48, take away 45, and we have 3 left over. Okay, so we move that down, and then we say how many 9s are there in 35? And there are 3. Okay, 9, 18, 27. So our remainder, if we take 27 away from 35, our remainder is 8. Okay, so now we're going to work out the fraction again. So our denominator, which is how many parts there would be in a whole one, is the number that we were dividing by, which is 9. And our numerator, which is the top part of the fraction, is 8, because that's how many parts we have. Okay, so to create our mixed number answer to how many 9s there are in 485, the answer is 53 and 8 9ths. Okay, right, next question. Okay, this is our final question, okay, and it's how many 8s are there in 975? So you can press pause now and have a go at doing the question. And we'll now have a look at the answer. Okay, so how many 8s are there in the 9 in the hundreds column? There is 1. And then 9 take away 8, we have 1 remainder, we move it down, and then we say how many 8s are there in 17? There are 2. So 2 times 8 is 16, so 17 take away 16, we again have 1 remainder, we move that down, and we then say how many 8s are there in 15? Well, again, there is 1, and then we say 15 take away 8, and our remainder is 7. So in order to create the fraction, we take the number that we were dividing by, that is our denominator, the bottom number on our fraction, and we take the remainder, which is 7, and that is our numerator of the fraction. So our mixed number answer to how many 8s are there in 975 is 121 and 7/8. Okay, and that is the end of this video looking at short division with remainders as fractions. We will move on to have a look at our next video, which is short division with remainders as decimals. Okay, so thank you for joining me, and I will say bye-bye.